Okay, so we're going to look into topic 7 today for the remember me functions, which allow for the application to store user credential, which is one of the features that it is not required, but helpful for user, so that they don't have to keep on remembering the credential all the time. But you have to assure, or you have to let user know that the remember me function can be what we call as a double-edged sword, which if they allow this, anything that anyone who can access to their phone will be able to log in or use the application with their credential, right? So that is something, even though it is a very useful features, but if the application require what we call as a security, full-on security, so you need to make sure that users are aware that if they use this feature, which means that they know the risk. But before that, let's try to use this what we call as a responsive features. So for responsive features, or what we call as in web application development, responsive design, or in web we call it responsive web design, RWD. But in mobile application, we can have a responsive design. So here, for example, we have our login page. So the login page here, whenever we try to view this on larger screen, it will always follow the screen itself, okay, the width of the screen itself. So one way to mitigate the issue is to implement what we call as a responsive design. One of the method available in responsive design is to check for the screen height and screen width. And usually we can just get that information from the widget build. So here we can implement, oops, sorry, why on earth that? Second screen, to go back. All right, so I want to get this variable. There's a two variable here you can define, or you can straight away define as var. Maybe also okay. And get the value, or get the screen height and screen width within your method build right down here. Before we return scaffold, we get the value from MediaQuery, which is the screen height and screen width. So whenever the screen, the page rebuilt, screen height and screen width variable will be updated. So when we get the value, usually we can use the value from, let's say you want to measure, you want to manage your login screen here, the card size. So for example, if we move to the right screen, move the orientation of the screen, so you get your we call it the card size here, follow the screen width of this current orientation. So if you want to control that, you can control that through your container width. So your container width here, okay? So you can actually control that through or check the value first. Okay, let me try to check the value first. What if we'll print here inside print screen width? I just want to check the screen width. If we change the orientation. All right, so you can see the screen width here is a 411. So let me return back to the original orientation. Oops, not the other way around. This orientation and return it back. So this is, oh, this one is screen height. I want screen width. Okay, so screen width only. So this is in this orientation. So if I move to landscape orientation and change the orientation, so now you can see the screen width is 83 pixel width. So now you know that this information. So if you go back to the landscape orientation, so the screen width is 411. So anything less than, let's say, 400 or 600, okay, anything less than 600. So we can say that we want to have the cut width set to a certain percentage. So we can have the logic up here if, right? So screen width, if screen width is less than 600, less or equal 600. So what you want to do, right? So else, what you want to do. So let's say we have another variable definition up here. So let's say a cut width ETH. So the cut width here can be defined equal to, let's say, if anything less than 600, so the cut width remain with the screen width. Okay, but if it is more than 600, cut width maximal value will always set to, let's say, 400 pixel. So let's see if we manage to get it to work, or maybe the other way around. Maybe my head is spinning. So let's test that. Right. So if this orientation, maybe the other way around. So should be, just want to manage the screen width. So just excuse me, my head not that very good at the moment. Just want to try if we manage to get the orientation right, not this orientation. They're supposed to be automatic, but I'm not quite sure why it didn't do so. Supposed to do that automatically without having to press this button. Oh yeah, forgot one more thing. I didn't set the value to the width, the screen width. It should be correct. So it should be the cut width now, not the screen width, but the cut width, right? So the cut width set to the card itself or the container, to the card actually, right? Is there any width to the card? No, we don't have width to the card. So which is we need to add either a container or a size block. Okay, so that we can set width to the card width. Hope we can get it to work. So card width should be double type. So which means that I need to define this as double, not as auto value. Double card width equals 0. It's not card width, 0. Okay, this one is an integer value, or maybe I can just sign to straight away sign here 0.00 because this one var, so it will do that. Right, so try to refresh, go back, keep on pressing the wrong button. This is the wrong button again. The other way around here. Okay. Right. Reload that again. Because the expectation from size block here, it will require double. This one require double. This one is an integer if you didn't assign it correctly. Okay, so we assign as a double, so we get double value. Right, just be sure of that. All right, let's try that one more time. All right, there you go. Okay, so just to have what we call as a responsive, so that we don't have the card width right near to the edge of the screen. Right, so this is basically just a simple example how responsive design can be implemented in Flutter. Okay, so by having the screen height and screen width information, and try to control or try to manage the width of the screen, the width of the widgets through either through size block or through container. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so now you can see if I move back to, is it this button? I move back to the portrait orientation. So you get full width, which is defined here, get the full screen width. But if anything more than 600, set the maximum width for the login to only 400 pixel. All right, so that how it is. It's quite simple actually. Only that sometimes I get confused with the new. I'm not quite sure if there's any. This should be automatic. I'm not quite sure why it didn't do that automatically. Windows frame, e-monitor always on top. Directional pad, not that one. Nothing. Advanced. Virtual sensor. Nope. I'm not quite sure why the new AVD, they don't do that automatically. We're supposed to follow the screen, the directional automatically. They're not doing that. Screen, is that a screen here? Nope. We don't have screen, right? Nope. So we have to press that button to rotate the screen. All right, so that's just basically the simple example how to implement the screen height and screen width. But you really have to understand, or you really have to make sure that you get the screen height and screen width whenever your screen, your widget build rebuild its UI. All right, so that is the, now you can see there's also another example here, divide by 3, divide by 2. So once you get the screen height and screen width information, you should be able to control your widget dynamically, okay, just by getting your screen height and screen width. And usually the most important information is the screen width. All right, so we have our login screen ready. Next, we're going to move on to the chat preference. All right, so chat preference implement what we call as a remember me function in the login screen. So it basically allow user to not having to remember their password and email, their credential. So when user click on this checkbox, both credential will be stored in the application directory and as a what we call as a key value pair data structure. So implementation for shared preference can be done through shared preference dependency, where you can install this shared preference in your application. Right, so you can go ahead and install your PubSpec assist shared preference. Right, so wait for shared preference to be installed, to be downloaded. And this takes some time. Make sure that you get return 0, exit code 0. All right, so once you get your exit code 0, and definitely we need to reload our application and stop and do the and reinstall the application one more time. So and at the same time, let me import that into the application and reinstall. All right, so implementation here is actually quite simple. What we need now is we need to get information from both of the text form field here. So we need to get email and password information, and then use the shared preference object to store that into our application directory. So let the application install first. So let's see shared preference and how it works. So this is the, I'm not quite sure if this is the current version. So if you want to look which version that we are now, the current version is 2.015. All right, so the current version is now 2.015. You can see here. And fortunately, shared preference can work on all platforms: Android, iOS, Linux, Mac OS, web, and also Windows, which is great. Okay, you can run this on all platforms. Can be used on all platforms. So let's see the current documentation. Is there any new updates that we have to implement? Right, so it seems to be the same. And let's see the example. Shared preference. This one instead just to show to create the preference object. So which is, I don't think they changed much from the previous version. So it seems to be, I can use my example still. All right, so the first thing that we need to do now to be able to use shared preference is to import the shared preference library into the screen class. And here, whenever we want to store credential, all right, let the application running first. Whenever we want to store credential into our application, we need to create the the shared preference object. So here I create the shared preference object and implement the await. It requires await because we want to store this into application directory, so which is storage,
So we can
the
see
device storage. Nah, still waiting for the application to launch.
sir, can you hear me?
Hold on. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now application finally installed. All right, so let's try to implement shared preference. So as you can see here, there's a method here that I created, save remove preference. So this is basically to implement the save and remove preference um, from the screen. Okay, so we have our login screen here. Let me access the login screen. So whenever user click on this, it will basically save or remove the preference that user already put here. So let me try that and then but before that, let me check first if we don't have yet. Oh yeah, we do have email and password controller here. We do have that both. And let's try to check when user click on the check button. So where's my check button? My check button is, remember here, right here is check. So check and uncheck, which basically get the email and password. Okay, so I can just straight away get the value here, save remove preference, create the methods and implement straight away down here. So let me just quickly take this. This is 2. And get the value first and get the value from text editing controller. It's not email, but email editing, editing controller and pass editing controller. So we get the value first and we create an object for the shared preference. Actually, you can just take this object and put it as a global variable, be no problem. And is it okay? So we create a preference object. And here, what I have is just to check first if user click or unclick the checkbox, or check or uncheck the checkbox. So if user check, with the value that we have from save remove preference. Sorry. If value is true, which is check. So if check means that we want to, but here I implement a form key. So do I have any form key here? Don't have the form key, but here I implement a form key just to check if the form key or do the validation for the form key. But let me take the form key first. I do have the form key, but I did not implement that in my form. So here we can just put a key and implement the form key so that we can check the form key if the key or if the form, but I don't have to. What kind of implementation? Oh, email here. Okay. So here I check for email, but I don't have to check for password. I'll just check for email, validity of the email, if the email basically it basically contain valid email or not, just for that. All right, so that's the only reason why I choose to use the form key validator here. All right, so the form key validator just to check if user enter correct key, email, only for email. And then I implement Flutter tools. Okay, so Flutter tools, definitely for every class, you need to import that Flutter tools. All right. So that for to take care of if user, let's say if I click on this. Oh yeah, one more thing that I did not yet implement is to call the onCheck. Save remove, I didn't yet call this, so that's why you don't see any implementation just yet. So you need to call this method from inside your checkbox. So where's my checkbox? My checkbox is basically down there. It's here. Where's my checkbox? Okay, here. So the save remove preference, I need to pass is check. Oh no, pass the value. What is check? Pass the value, just pass the value, sorry. Okay, so pass the value to here. So if I click on this, it will check first for the email. Okay, please fill in the login credential. So which means that I cannot get this checkbox to tick. So user will require to enter their credential. Let's say this one. So if I click on this, my form is now working, but I don't yet store the credential. All right, so to store the credential is down here, await preference, set string. This basically allow me to store the credential. These two instruction here, which supposed to be outside of this if statement, okay, allow me to store the credential. Right, so password, store password, and email, store email, and let user know that the credential successfully stored. Put it down here. All right, so preference stored. So we have email and password, email and password. So the preference object that we created up here, if you want to store string, so we have to use set string, await preference string. Our key is email, and the value that we want to store is the value that we retrieve from the controller. And also the same with password. The password we want to store is the password that we have here from the password editing controller. So user have an option because we don't force for password. So user can store their email, but not their password. So either way, but if you want to force also, that's up to you. But here, if we implement this, which means that we successfully store credential into our application. So for example, if I want to store slambaja@gmail.com and let's say the password is abc123, and if I click on this, you should be able to see preference stored. Okay, so that is how we are able to store the credential into shared preference. However, all right, so if I go back and then go back to the login screen, we don't have our credential here automatically appear in this form. Reason being is that we need to load the credential first. We need to be able to load the credential first from our shared preference, and we don't have that yet. All right, so we don't have that yet. But let me finish the save and remove preference method, which basically will require this else statement. So the else statement here allow us to remove our preference. So you can see else await preference dot set string email remove to nothing and password remove to nothing, and set state everything remove to nothing. And this one, if we unclick, okay, so this is else. If value is false, means that we want to remove our preference. So if we execute that untick, we actually want to remove our credential, right? So that basically what this function is all about, what this method is all about, to remove and also store preference value. All right, so that's actually quite simple. Actually, the required function is just this, but the rest is just logic for us to implement whenever user click or unclick. So if I unclick on this, let's say, so if I click on this, we store the preference. If I unclick on this, I remove the preference. So that is basically the idea here, the logic here. All right, so might not be the best logic, but yeah, that basically how I implement this here. Okay, how I implement this in this function, just to remove or store preference. You can create that somewhere else or as a separate function. So this is I have updated the checkbox. So on remember me change value. But I did have, oh yeah, here. All right, this is the one that I wanted to implement. Load preference. All right, so the load preference here will allow us to load a preference when we load back the screen. So here, when we go back and log in, the preference is not there, but yeah, since we already removed the preference, so the preference is not there. So let me try to once again store our preference. Okay, remember me. All right, so go back and then we go back to the screen. We don't have the preference yet. So we don't have the preference. We want to be able to load the preference back into the screen, okay, into this form. So the functions here, the method here is a load preference method, which basically will load preference from the shared preference that we store, email and password, and we call the load preference from our init state. And whenever the preference is being detected or loaded, it will load back into the form. So let's just implement this quickly, which is actually quite simple. So all I need now is this, and implement this as one of the function, one of the method down here. And this is also missing E. So I'm going to go back. So load preference, and again, actually I can just create this outside as a global object. So this one actually email dot length the more than one, get the value. Yeah, give it a try first. So load preference, we load the preference from our init state. Do I have my init state ready here yet? No, I don't. Right, so we have the init state. There's no need for password visible. I believe I didn't use that. Do I have password visible? Okay, so we actually don't need that. Screen height, screen width, this one because we assign during runtime, should be no problem. All right, so let's try that. Should we be able to load our preference when we click on login screen? There you go. So this one, I set the visible to false. So actually you need to set the visible to true. Is password visible? Where is it? Secure tag true. Okay, so whenever every time user access their login screen, they should be able to automatically load their credential in the form. So it's quite simple. And let's try to remove the preference again, and then go back, try to log in. Now you don't see the preference. So if I try to store another preference, let's say john at abc.com, abc 1231234. So remember me, preference stored. If I go back and then try to log in again, now you can see john at abc.com and password automatically stored there. And then user can now just straight to log in. All right, so it is pretty simple and allow user to store their preference. If you notice through the shared preference, right? So here we have this special instruction here. So this is actually if statement. Okay, this is actually if statement in a much compact form. So which means that initially if the preference get the value or try to get the value from a shared preference that containing email, if there's any, it will get the value straight away. But if there's no value or if there's no key that containing email, it will automatically assign as an empty value string so that you don't get null value. Okay, because Flutter very fussy about null value, and it will return that the infamous red error, throw that red error to your screen. So when you have this, this basically just to safeguard your code or to safeguard your variable, or else you might want to assign string email to an empty value first, and then later on get the value from email, because it is not assured that email key is available in the shared preference, because when you first run the application, the email key is not there. It's not there yet. So if it is not there, email will automatically assign to an empty value. So that's why you have this double question mark here. Okay. So if this is not available, if this is not in the shared preference, then assign an empty value. Okay. The same with password. If the key is not available, assign with empty value, so that you don't get error. Okay, you don't get error. It won't throw any error. This is just to safeguard. Okay, email.lang. If more than 0, more than 1 means that if there's any value at all from this, and then refresh the UI through set state, and then assign each of the controller with email and password. All right. Okay, so that basically handle shared preference. And then for the login operation, this is basically the same with registration. So as you can see here, for the login, handled by the button, by the login button, the login actually here, down here. So login user, check for the key if you require. And then if you want to if you want to do validation, so you can do validation so that they don't send empty value. Oops. I'm not quite sure. There's a short key that do that. All right, so this is just a key validator. And then get the value from your text editing controller. And then implement HTTP posts. So here, HTTP, we need to import HTTP as an object. So this is basically the same with the registration. Import the HTTPS object. Up here. And import config. Okay. Config dot server. And my pasa v2 under directory, my pasa v2 php, and then the PHP script that will handle login user is login user.php, right? And usually you get this. Okay, so this is basically the latest Flutter will require interpolation. So straight away just use interpolation and save that. All right, so login user, when user click on login user, it will check for the validator first. Okay, so login, and then we'll get the value, email and password, and email and password will be passed to login user.php. And then we need to go back to our server script to handle the backend login. So now you can see this is the backend login. But for now, I'm going to use a simple login method without having to pass all this just yet, so that you don't get confused with all this. All right, so I'm going to open this and then create new file. And then here, we're going to create PHP script. And usually I'll start with check if there's any post requests. Save into your server directory. So which is here, login user.php. So this is a PHP file. Save. Okay, so the other one that we require is our function here. So this function will let user know we'll do the encoding. We'll do the encoding. Sorry. Sometimes when you try to copy the code, it won't allow you to do that. Okay, so if anything goes wrong, it will return back fail. All right, now we do the SQL statement. We do the database implementation. So start with the database connector. We'll start with the database connector, connect to the database. We get the value from our form. You copy, you didn't get the... Okay, and you must make sure that you do these hashing. So here I just use a simple SHA-1 hashing. So when you hash the value, build the SQL. So here just a simple SQL that we have. SQL login, select all from table user where user email equal email, $email, and user password equal $password. And execute the query, result connection query SQL login. All right, so once you execute, check if the query return number more than 0, which is more equal 1. It returns something from the query. So for now, let me just return success instead of all this, just to make sure that the query is working or not. Right, just to make sure that the query is working or not. Send JSON response. If more than 0, return success. We don't have any data yet. We're not going to create any data, so return null, but it returns success. But if else, we return fail. Okay, so this one fail. All right. So that is just the return that we want, either status success or return success fail. So let's do this first and check if we receive the right query. Here, as you can see, I print out the response body. Let's see if we manage to get it to... Let's start with this. We don't have the data. We don't have this user in the database. So we try to log in. So we have login here, and down here, send to the login user.php, save that, just go back. Then try to log in again. It didn't call my login. Email and password supposed to... Hold on. Check my PHP again. The link to the... Is it correct URL? Config the server, or just /php, sorry, just /php, not this one. Just /php. So that's why you don't have no connection to the server. Try one more time. check again, /php /php/login user.php. It's supposed to be there. Supposed to be able to call these, and there's no response. Config to server there. /php/login user.php is supposed to throw me. This is login user.php. Under my parser v2 php login user.php. Let me try to echo anything here. Supposed to echo something. It did not echo anything. Just print out something. Try if I hello over there. Oh, it did not enter here at all. All right, so this is also another thing that you need to understand. So didn't call this at all. So what's going on? Oh, I did this twice. No wonder there's a 2 times validation up there. I did not see that at all. Right, so there's double up there. Right, there you go. No wonder. So there's double validation up here. So one more time. There you go. It returns status field, data null. Right? So if I enter the correct one, which is my credential here, I'm not quite sure if my credential is ABC. Is it ABC123? Try that. Yeah, success. Okay. So now you can see it basically returns success, status data null. So this is the correct credential. So I'm going to save that so that I don't have to remember the credential all the time. Okay, go back, try to log in. And if I click on login, you should be able to see down here, status success data null, which means that this query here is correct, is working, right? So the SQL login, select all from table user where user email equal email that we receive from the form, and user password is equal password that we receive from the form. And we hash the value by using SHA-1 hashing mechanism, and then execute the result through the connection, implement the query, and get the num row. So num row will return back if more than 0, which means that it return there's a user with this user email and with the user password, and return back to user success. And here you can now process the data. Okay, now you can process the data. Should be able to process the data. Right, so that's what we are looking for, and able to log in by using the user credential. But the example here will require more, but I'm not going to do it today. Here, as you can see, we want to load user data, which is to get their name, to get their email, to get their phone address, and all other information that we're going to use for user credential. But I'm not going to do that today. So for today, we have covered user preference, the chat by using chat preference, and also user login, right? Simple user login by using a simple methods here. All right.